you watched my last video about all of the engine problems that I had with my 200 series VDJ Land Cruiser, you'll see that I wasn't super impressed with Ryco. And really nothing should have changed, except they sent me some free shit. So how did all of this happen? Well, shortly after I released that last video, I got a phone call from Ryco. They were obviously concerned about the situation that I'd been in, probably about the video too, I'm guessing, but there was no pressure from them to change the video or anything, no nonsense like that. They were genuinely apologetic about the service that I'd received. The guy that spoke to me was the state manager for Western Australia, which is where I live, and he seemed very, very genuine in believing in his product. That doesn't necessarily change my opinion about the situation, but he was a fairly sincere guy, very articulate, very polite. We did discuss at length the differences between the RCC 350 catch can and the RCC 351 catch can. The differences are essentially that there is no check valve in the 351 and there is in the 350, but the explanation given to me by Ryco was that this was not because this is a problem per se. Their explanation is that that is so that it can be used on petrol engines with negative crankcase pressure as well as diesel engines, which don't generally have negative crankcase pressure, although some of the more modern engines do. I think they mentioned the Navara as one that has negative crankcase pressure. Long story short, the old 350 has a check valve and the 351 doesn't. Ryco said that there was no dramas with the RCC 350 that they were aware of. Ryco said that the RCC 350 should be suitable for the VDJ 200. That being said, Ryco offered again to inspect the catch can and the filter, but this time they offered to send me an express post bag so that I could post it to them, and they also offered to send me a replacement, being the RCC 351 instead of the RCC 350, based upon my own concerns. They also wanted to send me one of their new vehicle-specific fitting kits because the state manager had watched the video and had seen how the mechanic had installed my catch can, because the catch can was purchased previous to them releasing the vehicle-specific fitting kits. And he didn't say that there was anything wrong with the way that it was installed, but he had noticed that the tubing had changed size a couple of times in what he observed, and he just thought that it would be good to have it all fitted with molded specific hoses and connections. So he was very generous in sending me through a fitting kit for that as well, and this new specific 200 series vehicle fitting kit also has the provision for a diesel or secondary diesel fuel filter and water separator, which I was planning to fit anyway. I wasn't necessarily going to use a Ryco product, but it was definitely on the list of things to do. I have in my previous TD42 patrol had a fuel pump die due to water contamination, and it's certainly not something I want to do with a VDJ 200 where your injectors are $1,000 each and there's 8 of them, and God knows how much the fuel pump is. So having a secondary fuel filter and a water separator, especially considering where I live and the places that I go with this vehicle, I think is a very good idea. And they were very generous in offering to send me those with no obligation. I wasn't asked to do this video. I wasn't asked to do anything in particular. But I think it's important to finish this story off. Had so many comments already on this last video. Some negative, some positive. Obviously, that's the way it always is. I just have to say that upon opening these boxes, I'm impressed. I'm not impressed because I got it for free. If it was rubbish, I'd tell you it's rubbish. Opening up this fitting kit is like opening a brand new iPhone. I mean, the packaging is sensational. The instruction manual, you just don't get instructions like this. It's glossy cardboard with full color pictures and clear instructions. So let's have a look what I've got. I've got this nice big cardboard box arrive, and inside of the box I had an RV SK105 fitting kit, which is the vehicle specific fitting kit for the Toyota 200 Series VDJ Land Cruiser. Now this was the most impressive part of the whole lot. The other two were just general products that you'd see in the shops. A fuel filter, water separator kit, and a catch can, which we've already seen. But this vehicle specific fitting kit was just packaged up so nicely. The fitting kit came with all of the same things that you would get in the kit version of the catch can. That's the drain hose and the little push to empty drain valve, cable ties, all of the hoses and the connectors and everything in these kits just actually looks really high quality. The molding is really firm. It's got like a protective layer around the hoses. It looks like it's just going to fit straight up when I go to fit it. I don't have to bend anything. I don't have to modify anything. I'll do a video installing it and obviously a follow-up video on how it's going. But the way that it's presented was just out of this world. I mean, the boxes that it came in, the way that it was all laid out, everything just felt really good quality. And like I said before, the instruction manual just blew me away. They've also got YouTube videos on how to install it for each specific vehicle that you can go to. I'll put links to those in the description. Now again, I'm not talking this up because I got it for free. If I had paid for this, I'd be very impressed. I know that some of you are probably thinking I'm completely mad to go back and put a Ryco product on after the problems that I've had. I wasn't an anti-Ryco person before this happened, but obviously when you get bad service, you tend to go off a particular product or service, and that was the situation that I was in. That service now has been rectified, now albeit probably because of the video, not because of my original email, which is an issue. You shouldn't have to make a video in order to receive the service that you should have had in the first place. However, we are in a situation where they've done the right thing for me. They weren't rude, they were apologetic, everything that I could have asked for and that I did not expect, to be perfectly honest. So I'll give it a crack. I'll give it a go. It's a lot of money's worth of gear here. It looks really good. The problem that I had with the RCC 350 is not a problem with the RCC 351, so I should be able to go ahead and do this safely. But we will see, I guess. Now in the comments for the last video, I had so many people comment in so many different ways, and it really was fascinating to read, and I really enjoyed going through all of the comments. I read all of your comments. One of the comments that kept coming up though was, why was I such a tight ass and why did I go with a cheap filter when I could have gone with a ProVent, and everybody knows the ProVent 200 works on the 200 series. Well, let me answer that in two ways. One, I couldn't get a ProVent 200 at the time. I had just bought the vehicle. It had just broken down the first day that I bought it. It was Boxing Day and it was in getting repaired, and I planned on putting a catch can on it because I know the VDJ 200s are heavy breathers, and I know that the intakes do clog up because of EGR combined with the blow-by. The mechanic that had the car at that time, not my normal mechanic, had the car apart. And I said, do you think you could put a catch can on it while it's apart? And they said, yes, we have some Ryco catch cans here. Now at that point, I only knew Ryco to be a reputable company and had no reason to think otherwise. I was a bit blown away at how much it cost me, because the Ryco catch cans are actually more expensive than the ProVents. So I didn't buy a cheap product, number one. I bought a more expensive product. Number two, I couldn't get a ProVent at the time anyway. So for all of those people telling me I shouldn't have bought a cheap product and the poor man pays twice, I agree, the poor man generally does pay twice in a lot of instances, but this was not a situation where that was the case. So I'm going to give this a go. I might be crazy, you might think I'm an idiot, you might even think I'm a sellout, whatever. But I got this stuff for free. I've already paid a huge amount of money for the Ryco kit in the first place. I might as well use what I've got. Now, there were a whole bunch of other people who suggested that I just remove the catch can. I shouldn't be running a catch can at all. They only cause problems and yada, yada, yada. And I kind of agree with you guys, because I was kind of at that point, and that's why I didn't put the filter back into the RCC 350 in the first place. That's why I left it out, because I was not sure where I was going to go. I wasn't sure if I was going to buy a ProVent, or whether I was going to remove the catch can entirely, or whether I was just going to leave it as it was, venting through a catch can with no filter in it. It's still better than no catch can, even though it wasn't doing a lot, but it was also a safe bet because it wasn't causing any restriction. I know that there are people out there that say, oh, Toyota spend millions of dollars and blah, blah, blah on engineering and they know best and I'm an automotive engineer and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, cool, sweet. But we all know, everybody knows, that the VDJ 200 has a high amount of blow-by, even from brand new. We also know that the EGR valve causes a whole lot of contamination to get caked inside the intakes. We've seen it. Now, there are some people that say, okay, well, just don't worry about any of that crap. Just every 100,000 Ks, get the intake cleaned. I don't like that idea. It's expensive, it's a pain. I don't really have anyone around here who'll do it. I just don't like that idea. I'd rather just prevent it in the first place. There are other people who say, oh, I've got 450,000 Ks on my Land Cruiser. I've never touched it and I've never had any problems with it. Great. Congratulations. I sincerely am happy for you. But I don't think that's the case for everybody. And I don't think that it would be performing very well if the intake was completely choked up. So where does that put me? It puts me in a position where I can illegally disable my EGR, either through software or a blanking plate and drill holes in the throttle body butterflies and all this kind of stuff. Or I can just stick to a catch can and see how that goes. The catch can's not going to solve the problem altogether, because the EGR is still the devil in this whole situation, but it is certainly going to reduce the amount of cake that I get inside of my intake. And I do mainly use this car for long drives with heavy loads anyway. So hopefully a properly working, well-maintained catch can is going to be the solution. I guess time's going to tell on that one. Thanks for watching.